Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the cabin. Can you hear that? It's raining again. I tell you, we've had our share of rain within a short period of time. I think we've had, let's see, last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It slowed up a little Friday and Saturday. Here it is Sunday, starting to rain again. So, like I say, we've had a whole lot in a short period of time. And honestly, all the devastation that you probably see on the media has went around us either one way or the other. I can remember Thursday night lying in bed thinking, Lord, you know, I've got about 10 buildings up here. Just keep us safe from the wind, because that was the real threat that I was concerned with, was what they were predicting. I probably woke up, no lie, maybe 10 times that night, because actually what I did when I went to bed, I raised the window behind me so that hopefully any wind, if it picked up, it would wake me up, right? And so about 10 times during the night. Now we did get some wind, but it was very, very light. At one point I did get up and come out and shine the light, because it's, you know, black up here in the mountains, right, at night. Shine the light out into the trees to see if they were moving, and they were just barely swaying. So those little puffs of wind would wake me up from time to time, and probably about 10 times, like I say, I woke up to a small gust of wind. I would check everything, you know, now it was raining, but you know, we were okay as far as the wind goes. And then I would go back and lay down and think to myself, oh Lord, please keep all the buildings and everyone safe, you know. And so that went on throughout the night like that. Then the next morning I got up, went down and checked the creek, and it seemed to be okay. It was only about half full. So like I say, all of the devastation that happened Friday, which was the day after the warnings, I guess, when Helene hit landfall Thursday afternoon, we were expected to get the severe brunt of that somewhere around midnight and after. And then the warning wasn't supposed to subside until like 6 p.m. the next evening, which would be Friday evening. And then reports started coming in throughout the day. Apparently what had happened was there was some breaches of the lakes upstream, I guess you would say, from us over into western North Carolina. And when that breach happened, and all of the rain and the creeks coming down filling in the lakes, the dams just couldn't hold it, and they had their floodgates open, you know, and it was just pouring over. And then I seen video where upstream coming through I-40 from North Carolina to Tennessee, how the river was just raging with water. And you know, there's portions, I'm sure that you all have seen it on the interstate, where one side of it is completely gone, and you're talking like a 3-lane. They're gone, you know, so you've only got that one side. And other roads as well. Total devastation due to water. Now you think that, you know, water being soft and it's not really pliable, but you know, you can't hardly hold it, right? Unless you can cup your hand and hold it like that. But nothing really, honestly, I guess, has more force than water that is uncontained. Okay, water can move mountains, literally. But water, you know, it's an essential for life, but it can be devastating at times. And I think that I read somewhere that that hasn't happened in about 250 years. So back in the 1700s, I guess something like that happened before in this area. But yeah, total devastation coming down out of the high plateau, the mountains, coming down into the foothills, and you know, bridges. I've seen videos of bridges collapsing, and the folks who were taking the video, you know, there were other people around, thank goodness, because as this bridge is, wherever it was at, I can't remember, but as it was collapsing in the middle, you know, and going down river, and it was just coming all the way across. And of course, you know, a lot of times when you build a bridge into an embankment, You dig down in, you pour concrete to gird up where the water is actually meets, to start making the transition to going uphill. And a lot of times too, they'll dig back into the bank and they may place really large cables and things of that nature and anchor off to a point in behind them and then fill over with dirt, So this guy's standing at the edge filming this, and then all of a sudden somebody hollers at him, "Get out of there!" Because the earth right at his feet started pulling away, and he was standing back away from it, started pulling away from him, because evidently that's kind of how they built that bridge. And the dude was backpedaling, trying to get out of there, and I thought, people just don't use their mind, sometimes. It'd be like trying to stand there and film a tornado as it goes by, it just, some things don't make sense, okay? It's best to just observe from a long distance, But anyway, yeah, things like that, I mean, it totally destroyed everything in its path. You've got homes being washed down the river, not only, mobile homes, but homes like this being uplifted right off the foundation. Earth moved out from underneath it, and it's gone down the river. Trucks, propane tanks, we've seen like 1,000-gallon propane tank just, as it's rolling in the water, it's losing its fuel, right? And so it's blowing bubbles, and we're asking people to make sure that their propane tanks were cut off, in the event that they lived in the path. But friends, I tell you, I'm not happy about this at all. I'm just trying to share with you everything that I have seen, and just so much of it to where and it's still coming in, things on the internet and people sharing and reposting and stuff like that. If there's a lot of people that lost so much, probably everything that they had saved for and accumulated in their life, and others will be affected. Building of infrastructure and roads and bridges and railroads and things like that were at river level, within, I say at river level, they were a little higher than the river, but normally, since we've been keeping records and so forth, do they ever anticipate anything like that happening again? But it did, and this may be a good lesson for a lot of us, building, to make sure and think about, what could happen if you were building down near or around a floodplain. I know that there is a river going up into the mountains where a lot of people built homes right along the river. Somebody had owned that property and they split it up, and people were buying sections of it and building, and it was nice to be there right at the river where you could fish. But when something like this happens, they were actually being airlifted out of there. People were getting stranded in their homes because they were right in the path as that was coming down through there. And I can't imagine losing what I have worked so hard for over the last 5 years up here. That's the reason that I was saying, Lord, don't let anything happen. We've worked hard, and trying to monitor the situation overnight by just opening up my window, right? Like that was going to help anything, but at least it would give me warning in case I needed to evacuate if the wind started whipping up, because anything that I have up here is not worth staying here to try and protect, if something could happen to me, because I can always start over, and that's what's going to happen to a lot of these folks. They're going to have to start over, because guess what? Monday morning, when they call the insurance company, they're going to find out that they don't have any flood insurance. That's something, because I guess it's so expensive that a lot of people don't have or can't afford. Even a lot of the insurance companies themselves probably don't have flood insurance, who may be floating down the river now because they had an office downtown. I know you've seen pictures where downtowns were flooded, right? Hospital, people on the roofs with patients having to be evacuated out. Just like I said, just total devastation, anything in its way. And I haven't been able to get out very far, but my daughter says that the nearby lakes just look like floating trash heaps because of everything that was washed down the river during all of that rain and the aftermath of that hurricane. So, you know, and all of this information coming in, you have to be careful about, you know, what you're looking at and what you you listen to it, and then you discern from that, you know, you have a takeaway, right, of whatever that person says. And because, you know, if we don't read the news, then we are uninformed, right? But we have to be very careful, because if we read it, then we could be misinformed, you know. And I know that there's a lot of that going on today. You know, we need to keep those people in our minds and our prayers, because there's lots of folks that lost everything, and those that have certainly lost a great deal. Some missing persons, missing animals. You come home, or where you thought home was, and it's not there anymore. Businesses, work, things of that nature. I know that Jennifer said that up where her grandmother lives, they probably won't have power for a couple of weeks. Now, thankfully, we're not in the cold winter months. You know, this happened when it did. There's going to be so much that you don't see or that you don't hear about. Only the most tragic things are you going to hear about. But there's going to be lots of older people living up in these mountains, living in surrounding suburbs and countrysides of major metropolitan areas and so forth, that were affected by this, that you'll never hear about. You know, if something was to have happened to me up here on the hill, you would have never heard about it, you know, because it is not something major, you know, that's devastating, that has happened to society as a whole, like what we're talking about. There are many, many older people, and those that, you know, are not doing as well as others, that are going to be out here that are going to be suffering because they don't have power. Then we heard that, you know, there are towns that the municipalities may not be able to get water to them again for a couple of weeks. So, you know, water could be at gas price premiums. The other thought that hit me was, you know, a lot of the roads are missing. A lot of the bridges are missing. Railroads have been affected. So if you can't transport in those three manners, the only thing left would be to fly it in, right? Or communities and people get together and share. You know, that's another thing about being off-grid. When I get the solar system put in, I'll be self-reliant from any power company. When we get the rain catchment system put in, we're going to be self-reliant from any water company. The ability to, you know, have fruits and grow vegetables and things like that, and you know, meat chickens or meat birds, if you want to call them like that. You know, just, it doesn't have to be a cow, or it doesn't have to be, you know, a pig. It could just be chickens. But, you know, you could get by. So I was thankful that, you know, I have been progressing, even though it's been slow, but been progressing in a manner leading in that direction. Because it just makes me stop and think, you know, the things that could happen and how everybody would be affected, because being, you know, on utilities kind of makes you, you know, reliant on other people to be able to bring you that electricity, or bring you that water, or bring you whatever it is, you know, that you get. Because, you know, I lived in town half of my life, so I know what it's like to be there. But I'm thankful that we have the ability to be able to do the things that we do here. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that I could do that, you know, if the thought hits me, that we may, you know, bring into the homestead later on. But friends, I'll tell you, you never know what's going to happen from day to day when you wake up. And I think that Friday, when I got up and the sun was peeking through the clouds in different areas, it appeared like everything was going to be okay. And honestly, all around me, it's just been another day on the farm. But when you venture out just a little bit to the right or to the left, you see the impact of what happened all around you. You never know, like I said, what could take place. You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have some water on hand. You can always store water. It doesn't, really go bad that I know of. It might be nice to have a generator if you don't have one, or at least one of these, like these battery packs that I've been using over the last 3 years. That's how I live, because I don't have power up here yet. But when the solar system is put in, hopefully that will take care of that. But some sort of a battery bank where you could function if something happened, and a little store of food. You know, some things, you know, noodles that you just have to put in water, you know, dry beans, a few things like that, staples, you know, good old country cooking's what I'm talking about. Yeah. But no, it would pay to have a few things on hand like that, because like I said, you never know. But seriously, keep all of these people in your thoughts and in your prayers, because they're certainly going to need it. At times like this, people just, they don't know where to turn to, you know, or what to do. It's lost everything. You know, when you're talking about how many miles from way up in North Carolina in the western mountains, they're coming down all the way down into the plateau and the low-lying areas in Middle Tennessee. Hundreds of miles of destruction because of you know, overflowing and not being able to contain the water. Yeah, you're talking a long time for things to get to resemble anything normal. But this will be a chance to rebuild. This will be a chance to build back stronger, build back smarter, and to be able to, you know, hopefully avoid anything like that in the future. Anyway, friends, I just wanted to share with you what's been on my heart and mind over the weekend, because certainly there's a lot that has went on. Not really so much up here on the hill, but around me everywhere. But like I said, keep those people in your heart and in your prayers. Thanks so much for stopping by, friends. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.